Should you buy the Nike Air Zoom GT Cut 2? No doubt. Let's break them down.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Dose. Yeah. Started from the mud, now you see us going up. Numbers never lie, now you see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out below. Keep it a buck, I don't always been one up on all of these.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be diving into the cushion, traction, support, basically just all the performance aspects for the shoe. But before I get into that, we'll cover some of the basic info first. So the Nike Air Zoom GT Cut 2 is going to retail for $170. That lines up with the original GT Cut from last year, and that puts them a little bit on the higher side of the scale for basketball shoes, at least leaning that way. But still, this was the cheapest shoe to release from that pack. Like the GT Run was at $175, and the GT Jump, which is actually, I got that right over here over my shoulder, that was at $180, I think. So I'm glad we at least didn't see a price jump yet. I had no idea they were even making a second model for this line though. I was honestly kind of sad whenever I wrapped up reviewing the GT line last year, and then bang, like the GT2 cut, it drops, and now we're rolling again. I love it though. And they didn't really switch up much for the box on this setup. I mean, they're still gonna have that same white box with that black lid, and then the GT Cut logo is gonna be what you see there on top. And honestly, staying with that, the cool thing about this shoe, or I guess this line, is that each shoe was kind of created to cater to a specific style of play. So the GT Jump back here, I mean, that was more so for like your impact protection, and it focused a little bit more on your like bounce and your spring and stuff like that. The GT Run was kind of offered for more like energy return and like kind of gave you optimal return whenever you're out there running and stuff like that. But the GT Cut, and I guess now the GT Cut 2, is going to be made to keep you a little bit lower to the ground, just to make those change of direction movements just a little bit easier for your foot. And honestly, this shoe is kind of funny to me because Nike even puts in the description whenever they're just talking about, you know, wanting to have a quicker shoe, they say like, in today's game, slow-footed slugs get sought out and exposed. Like, dang, that feels like a personal attack for some people anyways, not me. Like, these feet are quick. But I mean, for real, I just thought that it was kind of funny like how they were laying out this shoe, but it still gets the point across of what the GT Cut is trying to be. And they have a similar look to last year, just as far as like the model's build. On this colorway, you aren't gonna like see the GT Cut logo show up on the tongue. It's just gonna be like a floral design. And I say that because most other models are gonna have the GT Cut logo kind of show up in that spot. But the biggest change to the appearance by far comes to the heel. Like, me and Chase were actually talking. He thought these looked like a Sakai waffle or like a vapor waffle back there. I see a little bit of like the Jordan 2 or even like the Air Jordan 32 low, but I just love the waves on the back of this model. Now on the inside of the upper, or I guess on the outer side of the upper, you're going to see this little reverse swoosh kind of worked into the midsole more so. Now on the inner side of the shoe, just kind of staying with the midsole, Nike did put that GT Cut version 2 text on there for the model. So I mean, the GT Cut, it played amazing the first time around, and they look sweet too. I honestly really do love the design for this GT Cut 2 model. They do have some big shoes to fill for performance though, so let's see how they hold up on the court. So now checking out the materials and the performance side, we'll take a look at the cushioning first. And before I get into like how they feel and play, I'll just kind of give you like the literal cushioning setup and like just all the features that go with it. So I mean, the original GT Cut model, that had like a ton of cushioning features. They had like Nike React, a Zoom Strobel unit, Zoom Air in the heel, just all kinds of stuff going on. And you do see a lot of that brought back for this model. So the GT Cut 2 is going to use some Nike React technology paired with the parabolic Air Zoom Strobel cushioning. That's also going to be stacked with the Zoom Air unit in the heel that helps provide responsiveness that you need to create space and opportunities off the dribble. And then the React insole is there to provide support and comfort. And then a soft foam midsole offers comfort and a stable underfoot experience. And honestly, I mean, that's kind of like the product details for Nike, and that's a good enough starting point to kind of get into this model. So you pretty much heard it. These are going to have like the same like React and some stuff like that, but they do feel a little bit different. I'm actually mad that I ran through my GT Cuts because I really can't do a side by side. Those aren't even like playable anymore for me, but I do want to say that the GT Cut 2 feels like it's even more loaded in the forefoot. Like from the second I put these on, you can just feel a noticeable rise up in the front, and that's always a great sign if you like shoes that are bouncy, and these are definitely that. Like, I was super impressed with the heel on this model too. Like the Zoom Air unit back there, it definitely feels nice, and there's some React foam in the insole that gives these a really soft and like cushioned feel just under your foot, like in the footbed, just immediately whenever you put these on. And then using our durometer to check out the midsole, it was kind of tough to get a reading on these, but they did come back at a 46. That's a little bit stiffer than average, but you know, that doesn't always reflect how they're going to play, because the GT Cut 2 just feels great on the court, and the upper material is super plush, and that's just going to add to the overall comfort. So if you like the GT Cut, you should love the GT Cut 2 for cushioning. Now looking at more of the materials and the support, this is definitely a spot where Nike did not cut the cost at all. We see some really nice stuff being used in this model. The whole upper construct is actually inspired by a butterfly with like an inner cage that's built into the lining underneath, and that's meant to help reduce the weight of the shoe and help you take off in an instant. So while we're on that, I mean, the GT Cut 2 is going to weigh 422 grams for a size 10.5. That is right around the average weight for a basketball shoe, and that's not extremely light, but they feel super easy to move around in. It's definitely not a heavy model at all, and the butterfly setup is just one of a few different spots, or like a few different support features on this shoe. Like the GT Cut 2 also has the laces run directly through this medial and lateral webbing loops to add some forefoot support. And like of all the categories though, support honestly was the one that I was looking at the closest, just because like the upper is like super breathable and pretty thin, but I mean honestly there hasn't been like a lot of give to them on any of my movements. I mean, I'm not super nervous about it. It moves a little bit, not enough to where it'd be concerning. And then on the back half of the shoe, you're gonna have a stiff clip like around the heel. That's just gonna be there to help lock your foot over the cushioning system. And I am gonna go ahead and throw this out there though, just to kind of test the waters. I did notice it a lot, but there were a few times whenever I was going to make a quick first step, I thought I noticed my heel just slip up a little bit, and it wasn't consistent. Like it wasn't a consistent issue. So like I decided I'm not gonna tie myself to that opinion right now. But let me know down in the comments just if you felt anything like that. But I mean, as for this shoe, Nike kills it again for this section. Aside from the GT Run being a little bit thin on the upper, I mean, I really think all three models had really nice support and like, you know, just nice quality features last year. And the GT Cut 2 is gonna keep that rolling. Finishing it off with the traction, we'll take a look at the pattern before I kind of talk about how they play. And this is like a sick traction setup. Nike calls it a smear traction 1.0 pattern, and it's meant to help you briefly stick to the ground, while other directional traction, the other directional traction just helps your toe like dig in and out of it. So I mean, you can see what it looks like, these like mountaintops kind of built into the shoe, and it's even in this herringbone pattern too. And the traction would probably be the strongest part of the shoe if there just weren't so many other nice features to go along with these. Like the GT Cut 2 is super sticky. Like they were making noise while I was just walking onto the court. So whenever we were doing our squeak test, that just kind of confirmed what I already could tell, that the traction was just going to bite the floor. And the traction, just the bite on the shoe is just nasty. Like I don't even have to speak on how they'll play outdoors either. With grooves this deep, like, and the cushion and the impact protection playing this nice, definitely a great outdoor model to hoop in. And then wrapping it up with the sizing, this is going to be a little bit of a trickier fit. Like they're going to run a little bit narrow for the width, but the length gives you plenty of room, like about a thumb's worth left over at least. So keep that in mind. But overall, the Nike Air Zoom GT Cut 2 is just another excellent performing model. Like, I mean, after they released the GT Cut line, like I said the first time around, I wasn't sure like if they were going to be done with it, because I knew it was going to be a 3-pack release. I'm so excited. I hope they are going to do the Air Zoom GT Run 2 and Jump 2, because I really did love the Jump model as well. But as for like this GT Cut model, you're looking at a shoe that's going to have like really great bounce in the forefoot for cushioning, and it's just soft overall. Supports the one spot, it's okay. Like, I mean, the upper is a little bit thin, but it's also a lighter shoe, so I don't mind it. The traction has just got so much grip though. All for $170. It's not bad. So I mean, should you buy the Nike Air Zoom GT Cut 2? Only if you like shoes that play good. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. Feel free to throw us a follow or a sub if you like this video. And if you're interested in buying the Nike Air Zoom GT Cut 2 and you want to support our channel, just click the link here on screen, or we have links down below or in our bio. So feel free to check that out. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.